Hi everyone. In this video I'll be talking about the key benefits of Vite.js and how to deploy your project to different services. With Vite.js, you can say goodbye to slow builds, long reload times, and tedious configuration, and say hello to instant feedback, lightning-fast development, and effortless optimization. Whether you're building a small project or a large-scale application, Vite.js can help you get up and running quickly, optimize your code for performance, and stay ahead of the curve in the ever-evolving world of web development. So let's just dive into it. I'll do most of the stuff in VS Code, but you can do it according to your own workflow. If you want to use the terminal, GitHub Desktop to get started, and the browser or command line interface to deploy, go ahead. For deployment, you should have an account for GitHub, Vercel, Netlify, and Surge.sh. You should already be logged into these services. But the only prerequisite for creating a Vite project is having Node and NPM installed. I have a new VS Code window open, so I'll go to File and Open Folder, or press Command+O. I'll go to my GitHub folder as this is a practical place to keep projects that will be made into a GitHub repository. I'll create a new folder, let's just call it Vite, and press Open. Let's open a new terminal by clicking Terminal, then New Terminal, or by pressing Shift-Option-Backtick. Now let's create a new Vite project by typing npm create vite at latest into the terminal. This will fire up the install wizard and prompt you for your preferences. If we choose the default project name, it will create a new folder for the project called Vite project, but since we want it directly into this folder, we will press dot. Next, we can select a framework. Vite is now framework agnostic, but it started out as a pet project by Vue.js creator Evan You in 2018, and was released as a build tool for Vue in 2020. In 2021, Vite was released as a standalone build tool that supports all major JavaScript frameworks. Since most of us know only vanilla at this point, we will choose this. Vite supports TypeScript out of the box, and I'll show you how to easily set it up at the end of the video. But for now, we will choose JavaScript. It created our project. Let's take a look at it. But first, let's install the dependencies by typing npm install or npm I for short. Now let's take a look at the package.json. Here we have three scripts. Dev, which fires up the development server. Build, which builds for production. Preview fires up a server with the current build from dist so you can test your production locally. Then you can see that in the div dependencies, there is only one, Vite. Let's take a look at index.html, which is located directly in the root folder. We can see that our paths are absolute. Vite rebases all our assets under the build process. We can see there is only one div with the ID of app. This is the container we base our app to. You can see that the script type is module, which is important for Vite to function. Let's click main.js. Here you can see that it selects the div with an ID of app and sets something to its inner HTML. Then we can see that the counter.js is just a simple incrementing click counter. Now let's get our styles TCS before we fire up the development server and see what all the fuzz is about. Type in npm run dev. You can see that the cold start is only 257 ms in this instance, which is really fast. Other servers can take 30 seconds to a minute to spin up. The development server leverages native ES modules, and when ES modules got browser support in 2020, it made Vite even more efficient. It also has a cache system which stores the compiled modules into memory, where it can be quickly retrieved. You can click the link to open it in your standard browser, but I will copy it and open it the VS Code browser. Press Shift, Command, P, and search for Simple Browser. Click it and paste the link. Press Enter. And there it is, the standard Vite template. Now let's change something random. The logo class, for example. Add a border, 1 pixel, solid black. But first let's hit count a couple of times to see the magic of hot module replacement. Then we can save it. And there we see that the state of the count is still preserved while only the elements with the logo class are reloaded, instead of the whole page like most development servers. Let's click some more and add a border radius for fun. So this is what is the magic of Vite called hot module replacement, where modules are compiled by the request of the browser, instead of recompiling the whole code base. Close the server by pressing Ctrl+C. Now let's check out what the build side of Vite does. Run npm run build. You can see that it is super fast, 73 ms. Not that this is a heavy application, it bundles everything together into 7 files in the dist folder. For this is uses rollup. We can see that our index file and vite.svg from the public folder is in the dist root. All of the files in the public folder should never be referenced in the source code, and they are placed in the root of the dist folder. All other assets are placed into an assets folder. One file for JS, one for CSS, and other assets. The last command in package.json is preview, which spins up a server with the current build from the dist folder. Command, click to open in the native browser. Let's stop the server. So on to deployment, but first we want to make a GitHub repository. Again, you can do this however you prefer. I find it easy to go to source control in VS Code, press initialize repository. As you also can see, Vite comes with a standard git ignore which ignores the most common stuff. Node modules, dist, files ending with .local, which are used for environment variable files that only run locally. You have seen more about how Vite env variables work in the previous lessons for the BAS starter. Stage all the changes, write a commit message and commit. Super easy. Press Publish Branch and select Public Repository. Boom. Let's just press it and open it in our browser so we have it for later. I want to show you some different ways to deploy projects. First, let's install the Netlify CLI. Run npmi, for short, G, for global, and Netlify CLI, not Netlify. Press Enter. Let's log in. Type Netlify login. It will take you to your browser. Here I am already logged in on both Netlify and GitHub and have authorized Netlify to access my GitHub account. Authorize. So let's initialize Netlify for our project. Type Netlify or NTL for short, init. Create a new repository. Select your team. Site name we will leave blank. We can see that we get the URLs for our project for easy access. At the prompt, Netlify automatically detects that we are using Vite. Press Enter, Enter again, and again to create a Netlify configuration file. Let's check it out. It has the commands it just prompted us for. .netlify files are added to git ignore. Git push it says. Okay, we should stage and commit these changes first. And sync changes. Let's check out the admin URL. And there it is deployed already. It is connected to the GitHub repository and deploys every time there is a change there, so we don't have to deploy it manually with the CLI. Click the link, and there it is. Another way to quickly deploy our project from the command line is with Surge. Let's install it with npm ig for global Surge. When it's installed, type surge dist to deploy our dist folder. It will ask you to create an account or log in. I have already done this. Then it will select a random domain for you. I chose to add some numbers in the end to make sure it wasn't taken. And there it is deployed. Let's copy the link and paste it in our browser. And there you have it. Now let's quickly deploy to Vercel through our browser. Make sure you are logged in, authorized through GitHub, and go to vercel.com/new. Choose the Vite repository and click Import. You can see that Vercel automatically detects that we are using Vite. Build command and output directory are correct. Let's deploy. Click it. And there is our project. Now it's time to deploy to GitHub Pages. Let's go to Settings and choose Actions, then General. Scroll down to Workflow Permissions. Select Read and Write Permissions and click Save. Then go to Pages. In our case, we want to deploy our project from a GitHub Actions workflow. We have a static page, so click Configure on Static HTML. Since we need to set up Node, install our dependencies, and build our project, we need to add that to this workflow. Under Checkout, create a new step with the name of Setup Node. Indentation is very important in YAML files. You can find this setup in the Vite documentation under Deploying a Static Site. Choose the Node version. And then it's important that we choose to upload our dist folder and not our root. Click Start Commit. Since this is just a demonstration, I'm going to commit the workflow file directly to the main branch. Click Actions to check out our workflow. Click on Deploy Static Content to Pages. Let's look at the last one. Let it work. Click Complete Job and click on the link. There is nothing here, just a blank page. Let's check out our console. There is a path problem here. If you would deploy to username.github.io, this would not be a problem, but our project is located at /Vite, so we need to change our base for deployment. Let's go back to VS Code. Since we made a new workflow on GitHub, we need to synchronize our changes to our local project. Click the sync icon in the lower left corner. You can see that the GitHub folder appears. So what we need is a Vite configuration file. This is included if you set your project up with, for example, Vue or React. So let's skip the setup wizard and create a Vite project with React. Type npm create Vite at latest, the name of your project. Here we will call it Vite React. Then we need dash, and template React. Here we can see it creates a new Vite React folder which contains a Vite configuration file. Copy Vite.config.js into the root of our project, and then delete the React folder. We don't need it. Our new file is pretty powerful. Here you can define all the options you want, for example, the build process or output directory. Let's remove the React-related stuff and change our base to what our repository is called on GitHub. Remember the forward slashes. Let's commit our changes and push them. Go to GitHub and we can see a new workflow is running. Let's check it out. And it works. That's what it takes. Let's see how Vite handles a large dependency like Lodash. Install it using npm install d Lodash. Then go to main.js and import, for example, dbounce from Lodash, which is made up of hundreds of modules. Now we can run npm run build. 406 as. That's pretty fast. Same with our dev server. 104 mens. It bundles the dependency into one file, which makes one HTTP request instead of hundreds. To make it a TypeScript project, all you have to do is rename vite.config.js to vite.config.ts and main.js to main.ts. Vite does not type check as the IDE usually does this for you, which saves a lot of time. Then it uses esbuild to transpile the code, which is much faster than other transpilers written in JavaScript. So that's it. I hope you got a good overview of how to work with Vite. I wish I could dive deeper and show how easy the configuration in Vite is with, for example, multi-page apps, plugins, or server-side rendering. But still, I hope this video gave you a bit more insight into how Vite works. Thanks for watching.